There are 72 cars in this year's Total 24 Hours of Spa. We know the bulk of the grid, but not how the top 20 is going to line up. We will in the next hour or so. Welcome to Superpole, everybody. David Addison and John Watson trackside, and the top 20 cars based on the average time set across the 4 stanzas of qualifying yesterday are about to go and do a 2-lap blast each, and this will determine how the front of the grid looks for the start at 4:30 tomorrow of what promises, John, to be another stunning race.
Well, before we get there, David, take my breath away. We've just seen warm-up, and we had 6 of the top 8 cars are all from Stuttgart. And I don't mean Mercedes-Benz, I mean a design that is 56 years old.
And still going strong.
And still venerable. Absolutely.
There's life in the old dog yet or something. Porsche has done well in the warm-up. Porsche is here on a mission. There are lots of factory drivers peppered across the different teams, and they're not here on holiday. The way that the 20 cars will run is currently on the screen. They will go in the reverse order. So what you have, based on yesterday, Maro Engel will go last. Now, the average quickest time last night was a 2 minutes 19.570. But the Maro Engel driven Mercedes did a 2 minutes 19.231 as its better lap time. However, although those times are of interest and a guide, it's all gloves off now. It's what you set in this Superpole for these 20 cars that decides where they go on the grid.
Well, there were a number of 2 minutes and 19-second times in that warm-up session. Clearly, it was a dummy run for those top 20 teams to go out and find what have track conditions, had they changed. Certainly ambient temperatures changed, track temperatures changed, they've all come down. We've got this slightly oppressive feeling of a cloud base beginning to lower and the pressure building, both atmospheric pressure and pressure in the pit lane.
I have to say, having just wandered back from the bus stop, it's actually for the first time in quite a long time almost a pleasant temperature, but there is certainly a feeling that rain is on the way.
But you were sitting in a deck chair. I could see you from the comedy position, sitting back like a tourist.
I was getting a tan, and it was blissful watching GT cars pouring past, especially, John, knowing that you and Bob were looking after the session so well. 35 is the Nissan of KCMG. That is going to be hustled along by Katsumasa Chiyo in this session. And it's great to have the Nissans back on the grid. They boom past the pits. They make a great gutsy noise.
Oh, they're thunderous. And the thing that the Nissan has always had, regardless of how the car might handle or brake or whatever, but that V6 twin-turbo engine is a horse of an engine.
Absolutely.
And I mean, the Nissan is a big, physically large, mid-front engine GT car, yet it hauls itself down the main straight, the Campbell Straight, that speeds up to 270 kilometers per hour.
Now, the first car to go is going to be a Porsche, one of the many. Kevin Estre will be behind the wheel of it. Then Maxime Martin, local hero, of course, Spa 24-hour winner, goes next in the 62R Motorsport Aston Martin. Then another Porsche, Mathieu Jaminet. Now, Kevin Estre is at the wheel of the GPX car. Now, this is one that we've seen all season being driven by Stuart Hall, by Ben Goethe, by Jordan Gröger. Change that lineup completely. Kevin Estre, Michael Christensen, Rickard Leet, 3 factory drivers. Again, that is a team suddenly said to by Porsche, right, there are your drivers, go and win the race for us.
Christmas came early.
Oh, absolutely. And there, Rover Racing with another stellar cast getting on board 98, Mathieu Jaminet, who's excelled in Porsche One Mate Racing in the domestic championships and in Porsche Super Cup. He's the 2016 French Carrera Cup champion.
And the third of those cars on the line, the 998, that was the car Nick Tandy drove to come out on top of the warm-up. So they will be confident with his car, and he will go 16th of this chain. There's the Nissan sitting up on its axle stands, tyres getting prepared, and Gio-san, who's been always impressive. He's a slight young man, but he's got a heart as big as you can have.
So the teams are ready, and this is an out lap, and you have to be out by a given time. You get a start-up lap, 2 flying laps, and then you're back in. Interesting, at Garage 59, that Andrew Watson is given driving duties in their Aston Martin.
Yeah, but Andrew, remember last night he did a very good single run in that car. He was the quickest of all 3 drivers in that particular number 59 Aston Martin. They've been working all day, spoke to the team. Andrew Kirkcaldy, of course, running the team, racing driver, gamekeeper turned poacher, as sometimes happens, and a lot of work going on, and everybody in the pit lane is thinking, what is going to happen? Well, not 24 hours from now, probably 22 hours or 22 hours roughly from now. Is it going to be a wet start? Is it going to be the weather forecast that has been predicted, or is it all over-egging the pudding?
Well, every forecast we've heard says it's going to be wet for the race, and it varies from thunderstorms to torrential to biblical, depending on who you talk to. Right, Superpole is underway. The pit lane is open then, and Kevin Est will be encouraged out on track. So Kevin, Carrera Cup Germany champion. He's raced in Porsche Super Cup, in French GT, in German GT. Had a spell, of course, as a McLaren factory driver, but back at Porsche, where he's raced in IMSA. He's a current world champion in the GTE class within the WEC, and is a real gun behind the wheel of a Porsche. There is 563 that will be driven by Dennis Lind, the FFF racing team, orange one, that Lamborghini Huracan. The Great Dane will be behind the wheel of it.
I was just explaining to Bob the reasons why Dennis Lind has been chosen for that car is when you think back to Monza, the weather, the rain, Dennis Lind was absolutely scintillating. And that's the one only reason why Dennis Lind is behind the wheel of that car.
There, out onto the circuit goes Kevin Est then, ready for his start-up lap. So out he goes. And speed building as he makes the climb now up Raidillon. So he's got the road to himself. This lap, tyre pressure's up, tyre temperature's up, find where the grip is, get yourself dialed in. Do we expect them to go quicker on the first or the second lap?
Well, other than they make a mistake on the first lap, it's going to be the first lap. But bear in mind, for all these 20 drivers, it's going to be pretty much the only time in their weekend that's left they're going to see a clear track ahead of them, or a clear track behind them, or even alongside them. So Kevin Estre on a fresh set of rubber, just rolling the car side to side, trying to put a bit of temperature into the tyre sidewall, get the carcass temperature of the tyre, not just the surface temperature. The surface temperature is only a small part. It's getting the carcass and the surface temperature up to operating levels.
So Kevin Est down through Pouron then, speed building as he heads along the short straight now that will take him to the right left of the pith path, and then down towards campus past the college. And Kevin Est then turns through the right, now the left, and as John rightly says, he's got the road to himself, although the next car, which is that of Maxime Martin, is now released out onto the circuit. They go at 1 minute intervals out onto the track.
So I wonder, Kevin Estre knows everybody will be looking at the time he records in the Porsche. So that's going to be, in a sense, he's a trail finder for the rest of the field. He hasn't got any other judgments from other than what he did in this car just a few moments ago in warm-up. He knows what the Porsches in general have been doing, and they've been dominating the times in the warm-up session. So he's got a big responsibility, and there's going to be a flying lap where he is wheel perfect. No over-exuberance, Kev. Not showboating now, Kev. This is for real.
Here he comes then. First flying lap of the session is go. Kevin Est blasts over the line. Remember, go and talk to the man that is quickest at the end of Superpole. It will matter hugely. Go and ask the other 19. It won't matter because it's a 24-hour race and we were just, you know, making sure the car was good and quick and we know what we've got ready for tomorrow. Est, blast downhill now.
So far, so good. Good entry into the source. Good mid-corner. Good exit. So Kevin Estre has got the Porsche up to speed now. Listen. The big compression in the bottom of Eau Rouge, the leap across the curbs as you exit over Radio, carry the speed all the way down the Camel Straight, 265 kilometers per hour before you have to get on the brakes, break it down to Lake Coombe.
So Kevin Estre it is then, who turns up to Les Combes. So obviously, absolute best. There's nothing to gauge him against within the first sector. He accelerates from Les Combes. He'll go up the curve there, down towards Bruxelles, over that crest. Then you can see the corner ahead of you. Brake, turn in. It's looking good so far. But he needs to be in the 219s, 218 to be really good if he can get there in order to be comfortably on the top of Superpole. He does get another lap in. He runs way, way wide out of Speaker's Corner. Down the hill he comes now. So Kevin Est, with everything on the line here, throws the car into Pouhon.
I mean, we're seeing a car in isolation. It's difficult to say whether this is a quick lap or not, because everything is right now purple. He's the only car on the lap that has gone into sectors 1 and 2 on a flying lap. So we will see at the end of this first flying lap what Kevin Estre has left on the table. So far, this has been a neat, economic, tidy lap from the Frenchman down into this corner called Campus. Used to be the old Stavelot corner, this double right-hand corner now, through the curb, Paul Frere, and the Porsche just kind of bobbling through as you run the curb a little bit in the inside, run the car all the way out to the exit. Now the flat-out blast, and it will be flat out through Blancpain, Kevin.
Uses just enough curb on the outside. He's going to set the target time. We've got Andrew Watson out on track. We've got Maxime Martin. We've got Mathieu Jaminet all on their startup laps. And it's going to be Maxime Martin that we need to look for next. Now, he's gone quicker than Estre in the first sector. Let's get Kevin across the line first. The first time of the session is a 2:19.067 for Kevin Estre, then 2 minutes 19.067. That's a good lap, better than anybody did yesterday, and that's the target. But already, Maxime Martin is quicker in sector 1.
Interesting. That's very strong showing right now from Aston Martin against the Porsche, who dominated the warm-up session. Maxime Martin almost sleeps at this racetrack. He races on it almost on a regular basis. If it's not once a week, he wonders what's wrong. He gets withdrawal.
He was here doing the 25-hour Fun Cup race, yes, 25 hours, a few weeks ago. That's the race in which you carry a passenger, if you wish, and you get more championship points. That's a conversation for the night shift, I think, when we get to the race. Maxime Martin, then, absolute best sector 1, and of course, a personal best in sector 2. So he's lost out a little bit against Kevin Estre in the middle sector. A 2:19.0 to beat. Can he do that? Can he go top? Mathieu Jaminet not as quick in the first sector, but Maxime Martin looks like he's going to be slower as he comes across the line. He is slower. He goes second on a 2:19.399, but of course, he's got another lap to come.
Indeed, so the best of the tower will have been used in that first flying lap. But you never know. Sometimes some cars, the way they work their tower, some of them don't work it as aggressively in the one single flying lap. They might have a bit left in the tank. Wow, Mathieu Jaminet really running the curve on the inside, going through Fagnes. So personal best, but 21,000 of a second away from that we saw from the Aston Martin a second ago. It was the middle sector of the lap where the Aston Martin lost out. Jaminet fastest overall, so this could potentially eclipse Kevin Estre, who currently is the quickest of the two cars that have recorded flying lap.
And he's 6/10 up on Maxime Martin in the middle sector. Now, Martin has done an absolute best first sector on his second lap. So Martin is still having a go. Here is Jaminet. A 2:19.0 is the time to beat. That's the time of Kevin Estre. Into the chicane he comes.
It's going to be a 2:18.9, maybe a 2:18.8.999 recurring.
Here he comes. Is he in the 18s? Is he in the 19s? It's a 19.063. He's 4 thousandths quicker by 4 1/1000ths of a second. Mathieu Jaminet goes quicker than Kevin Estre. Wow.
Well, I thought that was going to be a 2:18, but that's as close as you can get. Andrew Watson, 25 thousandths of a second down in that first sector. So the 59 Aston Martin trying to emulate what we saw a few minutes ago from Maxime Martin, who's on a second flying lap, has got that fastest first purple sector time. Waiting to see what he achieves in sector 2 as Andrew Watson now goes into sector 3. Personal best, but 0.8 of a second down in the middle sector, mirroring what we saw with the 62 Aston Martin of Maxime Martin. So for some reason, whether Aston have chosen to go with maybe a slightly lower downforce to give them more passing opportunities on the high-speed parts of the racetrack and sacrifice a little bit of time in the middle part of the sector. That's a little bit of continuity. Andrew throws it away in the final two corners, just outbreaks himself coming into the penultimate corner, and that's going to cost him time as he comes up across start-finish line.
So where does that put him? He's going to put him fourth, isn't it? 2 minutes 20.597. Now, Kevin Estre has done another lap, but it was slower. 2 minutes 19.128. Maxime Martin down in the middle sector as well. So that lap that he sets is a 2:19.341. Slightly slower, no improvement.
No, again, primarily, the best of the tower has been used in the first flying lap. Chris Harris there, we're familiar with him from his other activities. So Dennis Olsen in the 99 Porsche, personal best, first and second sector, but up to nearly just over half a second down in that second sector. He ain't going to claw that back in a relatively short third sector. So see what Dennis Olsen can do. I'm not sure he's going to challenge his compatriot at Chamonix on a 2:19.863. Comes up across start-finish line, and Dennis Olsen goes 2:19.448, puts him 4th quickest currently.
So good effort that from Dennis Olsen, former Formula Renault racer turned Porsche Super Cup star. This is Mathieu Jaminet, the fastest. He's not going to go quicker again, is he? Because he was down in the middle sector, but he's not bailing either. He's going to do the second lap, which you don't have to if you are absolutely convinced your first is impregnable. Over the line he goes, and a 2:19.07. He does go quicker again. So despite being down in the middle sector by a couple of tenths, Mathieu Jaminet does go faster, a 2:19.027. So he does go quicker on that second lap.
And he could have gone even quicker, in my opinion, because he slightly overran coming into the penultimate corner. Just got out of position to make the switch back to the left to make the final cut across the start-finish line.
So a really good effort. Now what about Andrew Watson? He has not yet done his second lap. This is Katsumasa Chiyo hustling on.
Why is he flashing his lights? Maybe there are cars that are on their in-lap, so he's making sure they are fully aware that he's about to go on or complete his first flying lap. So we got, looks not a bad run from Chiyo San at all. Comes up across the start-finish line, 2:19.922.
So that puts him 5th ahead of Andrew Watson. And here in 76 is Jake Dennis. He's on the flying lap. Of course, they're green sectors. Their personal best is his first lap. But what we need to see is where that puts in. The significant ones are when you go purple, because that means you're better than anybody that's been before.
So Jake Dennis would love a couple of purples. And that in that middle part of the circuit, again, just over half a second down. Small amount down in sector 1, but significant amount. And the 3 Astons that we've seen out so far this afternoon, all showing not quite the pace in the middle sector. A sector of the circuit which I thought would have suited the Aston Martin. It's a very aerodynamic car. Interesting, they run a very little rear camber on this Aston Martin, which gives them excellent traction out of the slower corners.
So Jake Dennis goes 5th fastest, the lap 2:19.715. This is Jamie Green, Formula 3 Euro Series champion, DTM hero. And Jamie, who started off in oval racing in Briscoe mini stocks, then went into single-seaters, really enjoys the opportunity to come and race GT cars. He's been on the sidelines a little bit this year because of appendicitis, but he's back and doing as many kilometres on his bike as he can. Dennis Olsen, incidentally, is up to 3rd fastest on his second lap. Dennis Olsen went quicker at 2:19.259. So that's the pair of Rover Porsches going quicker on the second run.
Interesting, unexpected, but Porsche dominating the top 3 right now. Maxime Martin rounding out the top 4. Jake Dennis and the sister Aston Martin from SRO Motorsport in 5th place. And then the Nissan, the first of the 2 Nissans, in 6th.
And Andrew Watson improved on his second lap. Jamie Green goes 7th fastest, 2:19 as he comes over the line. 2:19.965 is Jamie's time. This is Katsumasa Chiyo. Now his first one was a 2:19.922, and he's improved in both of the first 2 sectors. So 6th he is. He's got to try and beat his own 2:19.922. Let's see where he goes.
He could certainly challenge the 2 Aston Martins in 4th and 5th place if he gets a clean exit out of the chicane, which he seems to have done, to come across the start-finish line. 2:19.5, and that stays in. Oh, he's up to 5th place, so he has split the 2 Aston Martins.
Found best part of 0.4 of a second.
That's excellent on a set of tyres that's already had one hard flying lap.
Right, Jake Dennis. We've not yet got a second lap from. Davide Rigon in the SMP Racing Ferrari, the Silverstone winning car, comes down to the bus stop. So where is this? It's now got to be a 2:18 to be a hero.
Slid the car, dirt tracked the Ferrari coming into the chicane, scrubbed speed off, but also scrubbed time off, just under half a second down, but fastest overall sector 3. Wow, they clawed it back in spite of that dirt track slide.
So 2:19.268. Here is Jake Dennis. Now Jake's earlier best was a 2:19.715, and he comes across the timing line and does a 2:19.326. So an improvement there, half a second basically found by, or the best part of half a second found by Jake Dennis. So that puts him up to 5th. Good effort. This is Klaus Bachler in the Porsche that won at Monza.
Up the hill again within half a second of the fastest in that second sector. So another Porsche, this time the lizard green option, the It is a factory option at a small extra charge if you want to buy it. But you can have colour to choice as well.
We quite like grey Porsches, don't we? Over the timing line goes Klaus Bachler, and that lap is going to be a 2:19.881, so that's good enough for 8th. A modest first effort. Here's Jamie Green. No, it's not. It's Nico Muller. Jamie Green is still hustling on. Forgive me, he's still out there, but Nico Muller, number 1, is now out of the piff-paff. A theoretical best at the moment, if you put all the sectors together, is a 2:18.5. Nobody has yet dropped below 2:19, but we could get there yet.
Well, they've got the quicker cars coming at the end of this session. So we've got Maro Engel, Dries van Thor, Maximilian Boek. We haven't seen a lot of him, but they were 3rd quickest overall to get into the shootout. Daniel Serra and the Ferrari. Nick Tandy, who was quickest in the warm-up just half an hour ago now in the 998 Porsche. So, and also, I'll tell you, a car that could be a surprise is the 55 Audi of Matteo Drudi. He's been on it both in Zandvoort 2 weekends ago and here this weekend at Spa-Francorchamps.
Absolutely. Jamie Green, by the way, went quicker, found a 10th on his 2nd run, but he's 9th. Nico Muller goes over the timing line, goes 7th fastest. Nico Muller in number 1, 2:19.350 being the lap time. So 7th fastest for the WRT Audi. Now, what about Davide Rigon on his 2nd lap? Personal best. First, personal best, 2nd sector, he should be quicker. It was a 2:19.268 that he did last time. Can we get a car in the 18, 16, 17, 18? It's an 18.806,
wow.
Yes!
Wow!
Well done, Davide Rigon.
Ferrari have blown Porsche so far out of the water. Fantastic effort.
Whoa.
Davide Rigon really got it right in that final chicane. That was the lap time he should have done the 1 lap earlier.
Absolutely. Now, you say Ferrari had blown Porsche out of the water. Have they? Because here is Vantor, Lawrence Vantor, with an absolute best in the middle sector. This, for Porsche, is the Cus Team 75 Bernhardt entry. Lawrence Vantor defected from Audi to Porsche a few seasons ago. Of course, it's a personal best in sector 1, but it's that purple absolute best, and he's way up the curve at the bus stop that really counts. So now it's an 18.806 to beat. It's looking good. 17.18.838
yes.
goes 2nd fastest. A 2:18.838, but it's not as good as the Ferrari.
0.02 of a second away. How close can you get? But of course, he's got a 2nd lap, and remember, the Ferrari went quicker on its 2nd lap.
Yeah.
I'm not persuaded that the Porsche will do that. Maybe by being so ambitious, by hopping and skipping across the curb in the entry to the 2 corners, might have cost him that 100th or so of a second. Gary Paffett.
Here he is then, DTM's reigning champion before he moved to Formula E. And he comes up now then towards Blanchimont. So we've got Nico Muller on his 2nd lap, by the way, with an absolute best in the 1st sector. So we're looking at Gary Paffett. We're keeping an eye to Nico Muller as well in number 1. And so now the car is about, oh, hello, one of the Audis gets way offline there. That, I think, was getting out of the way on an in-lap. So you were deliberately wide not to impede. Gary Paffett into the bus stop. So this is going to be good, but is it good enough to throw another brand up to the top of the tree? A 17, 18, 19, 501. 9th for Gary Paffett.
Car we've got to keep an eye on is the number 1 Audi, Nico Muller. Passes sector 1, personal best. Here we go. Nico Muller, can he beat Ferrari? Can he beat Porsche in Super Pool?
16, 17, 18, 994 goes 3rd fastest. Nico Muller into the 18s, but a 2:18.994 puts him 3rd fastest.
Matteo Drudi is personal best in 1st and 2nd sectors. So waiting for the 55 Audi to make its way here. We got it on screen. Up only just a 1/10.5 down in that middle sector. So again, a car that is going to be a challenger for the top 3. Nico Muller, bear in mind, is the first of the Audis in 3rd place.
So here's Matteo Drudi down towards the bus stop, and as he turns right and left, he's on the power now to make the run up towards the timing line. Of course, their personal best, but where does this put him? It's going to be in the 18s, and it's not. It's a 2:19.007, so 4th fastest for Matteo Drudi, 2:19.007. It's a good effort. Now this is Vantor's 2nd lap, and he's actually down in the middle sector. So Lawrence Vantor not quite as quick.
Well, the reason I think is that Porsche uses its tyres a little bit more aggressively, particularly the rear. And again, Lawrence Vantor taking loads of the curb on the inside. I'm not persuaded that, although it's maybe fractionally shorter, but I'm not persuaded it's actually any quicker. But it got personal best in sector 2.
Goes quickest 2:18.605. So down in the middle, brilliant last sector.
Absolutely stunning. Where did that come from? In spite of my view that hopping and skipping over the curb was going to maybe inhibit him. Dennis Lind 563 Lamborghini. This is a car that potentially, if Lamborghini have got all the hard work they've done, and I know what they've done with this car, the minute of detail that they've put into the setup is stunning.
Katsumasachio has been given a 7.396 second penalty added to his time. So Katsumasachio will fall to the foot of Superpole inevitably.
Well, we need to know the reasons for that. Was it something to do with the pit lane, or was it something that happened on track? I can't imagine there was something we saw on track. So Dennis Lind through La Source. Now at Bill's speed as we go back to Nick Tandy, man who was quickest in that warm-up session, and his time was at 20.00, so he needs to find fastest in the middle sector on his first flying lap. Nick Tandy, the Brit, winner of Le Mans, megastar in a Porsche, putting on a display yet again.
Right, he's got a 2:18.605 to beat. We've got Matthew Drudy doing an absolute best in Sector 1. Nick Tandy's done the absolute best in Sector 2. And, is he a little bit ragged into the chicane? It's on the edge, isn't it? So Quick Nick powers his way out of the bus stop. An 18.6 to beat. It's an 18.8. He goes third fastest. Nick Tandy then, 2:18.806 for the Porsche.
I'll tell you that Drudy has lost time in the middle sector, and he's lost a little bit of time under braking into the final sector, so it would be unlikely to see him improve on his 5th position. Comes across the line, 2:19.05, so he stays in 5th place.
So yeah, 2:19.059. What did Gary Paffett do on his second lap? It was a 2:19.567, so slightly down. Dennis Lind is on his second lap quicker than he had been in the first sector. There's Nick Tandy out there, and Katsumasachio missed the slot on the pit exit time. That's why he's been given the penalty.
Daniel Serra in the Ferrari, personal best, first and second sector. That middle sector, very close indeed to the fastest overall middle sector time. So remember what the Ferrari did, it just suddenly stunned us, but that's now been eclipsed by Lawrence Van Thor in the Porsche. Much neater and tidier through that final chicane as he comes up, finishes the completion of the lap. So is it going to be 2:18 point something, 2:18.5854?
Dennis Lind has been through. His last lap was a 2:20.613, but he's also being given a 2.302 second penalty because he missed the time you must be out of the pit lane by. Same problem that the Nissan had.
So that's just adding more pain to the Lamborghini team. So 16th, that illustrates the penalty included in the lap time.
Yeah, and that last lap was a 2:19.095, 2:19.095. So you put the penalty onto that. Right, Maxi Book hopefully got out in time, and we know how quick he is. Comes down towards the chicane now.
So it's going to be a strong run, but not probably quite at the races. Unlikely for Maxi Book to be able to break into the top 3. Might get onto the second row of the grid, might dispose Daniel Serra in the Ferrari.
Well, let's see.
No, disappointing 7th place.
Yeah, 2:19 for the Mercedes, 2:19.013. Now, this is the Nick Tandy Porsche hustling on, but Nick up in Sector 1, down in Sector 2, but we've seen that from others, and they regroup in the last sector. Maybe Porsche's in the middle sector, not that au fait. Over the line he goes. That is going to be third at 2:18.880.
So currently it's Porsche, Ferrari, Audi, Mercedes, first Mercedes, only in 7th place.
Right, Dries Van Thor now. We've got elder brother out of the way. This is the penultimate car to go, the WRT Audi. And in the first sector, he's done a 39.701. In the second sector, a 63.6. So he's about 2/10 down in Sector 1 and half a second down in Sector 2.
But wouldn't it be a great story if you had the Van Thor brothers on the front row of the grid?
Yes.
Wow,
Yes.
What would the mum and dad be saying? Darling, oh, we don't know. How can you split the two, boys?
Ready for the start of the race. Play nicely. 5th goes Dries Van Thor, 2:18.923. But he could go quicker.
Daniel Serra comes up the hill into the chicane and is fractionally down in that middle sector. So what's left in the tank for the Ferrari? Such a beautifully balanced car at every speed range. 2:17, 2:18.877, so no improvement for Daniel Serra.
Still a dark horse, a dark prancing horse for a win, though, if they can keep out of trouble in that car. Mauro Engel then is the last to go in the Mercedes, and he's 4/10 down in Sector 1, but he's on the money in Sector 2.
A lot of time to lose in Sector 1. He's got to claw that back. He's got clawed back almost 3/10 of a second in the middle sector. So Mauro Engel might prove to be the best of the Mercedes. Currently the best Mercedes is still Maximilian Buch in 8th place on the 4th row of the grid. So Mauro Engel comes across to 18.660.
So that is good enough to be second. So all eyes on him, Buch and Dries van Tor, because they are now on a second lap. Here's the Group M. Bright yellow Mercedes of Maximilian Buch out of the chicane. Again, good Sector 1, down in Sector 2. To the timing line he comes, and look, he's backed it right off. He's 2:22.
Yeah.
Why complete the lap, though?
I've no idea. I mean, maybe he wanted to test something, do something, but you could see coming through the chicane at the end of the lap,
yeah.
He wasn't carrying the speed. Dries van Tor. So personal best for Dries van Tor, just a 10th down on that first sector. Can he claw anything back? I mean, currently Dries van Tor, 6th, 3rd row of the grid, looking to see where he can go. Personal best, first sector. Second sector comes up now, 3/10 down.
Exactly, it's not happened, but others have had bad middle sectors and regrouped in the last. So again, maybe this tells you something about where individual cars are strong and weak. Here is the Audi. Is it really quick through Blancpain? It needs to be. And he will use all of the available real estate. Up towards the end of the lap he comes then. So Dries van Tor hustles on. And he's got to try to get into the 18s, but it's not looking good.
Well, he might get into the high 18s, but he's certainly not going to be challenging for pole position or possibly alongside pole position. So not a great lap for Dries van Tor, 19.144. So disappointment for the younger of the Van Tor brothers.
Indeed so. He stays 6th then, 2:19.144. And so it's all eyes then on Mauro Engel. He's second, and he's got to find 56 thousandths to go top. And he's on it because he's off the road almost there as he comes out of Pouin, absolutely charging. And he has gone quicker than he did on his previous run in the first sector, but he's still 3/10 down. But it's a personal and an average, absolute best in the middle sector. So Mauro Engel is quicker than anybody now, but that's not balanced out the time lost in the first sector.
So he's now got the double left-hander at Blancpain. Flat as you can get it through the corner, then the run, the shortish run all the way up. Get your braking spot precise, don't overrun the corner, don't spoil what could be potentially the pole position, or certainly a front row position for the number 4 Mercedes.
Right, it's got to be in the low 18s here. 17, 18, he's done it, goes quickest at 2:18.588, the last lap of Superpole. Personal best, absolute best, a slower 3rd sector, and a very frustrated Laurens van Tor.
Oh, you could see he just dropped his head in disbelief. He thought possibly this is going to be my pole position. Mauro Engel, number 4 Black Vulcan Mercedes, blow all the other Mercedes out of the water. The next best Mercedes is down in 9th place, Maximilian Buch. Black Vulcan have delivered yet again, and what a strong lineup that car is. Mauro Engel, Jelmer Burlman, Lucas Stolz, they will go to bed tonight. Laurens van Tor, look at the disappointment, and he can't believe it. He's done all the hard yards, prepared for the top 20 shootout, thought he had it. What can I say?
He lost it by 17 1/1000ths of a second.
Might have been 17 years, David.
Exactly.
He's lost it. That's all that
absolutely,
counts.
absolutely.
And he is truly, truly distraught. I mean, you can see him getting out of the car. He just can't. I don't know. I feel sorry for him.
Yeah.
But you can't. That's motorsport.
So close, so close. But Mauro Engel lays down a marker, just as the car did in qualifying yesterday. Laurens van Tor steps from the car. Interesting, isn't it, that he'd stayed there looking at the data. He hadn't got out. He'd stayed right to the very end, waiting, concentrating on the sectors being put together by his rival. And so there is Laurens van Tor, and that is the man of the session, Mauro Engel. A great effort to win Superpole by 17 1/1000ths of a second. So let's hear the thoughts of a frustrated Laurens van Tor. He's down in the pit lane and can reflect on pole position that got away.
Laurens, now you had a very quick lap, but I'm sure you're disappointed with the result. Yeah, you know, to start at 24 hours tomorrow, it's more than perfect. We're on the first row. We wouldn't want anything else. And we would have signed for that in front of the Super Bowl, but obviously when you're P1 until the last lap, it's a bit shit. But anyway, it's good. It's just something probably personal. I like to be on pole, obviously, but it's good and the car is great. It's a perfect starting position for tomorrow, and that's what counts in the end.
Good luck for tomorrow. Excuse the language, it all gets emotional down here. Thank you.
So Laurens Vanthoor is second fastest. He'll be on the front row, and that puts him ahead of all the dramas potentially is going on behind when they get to the first corner, and trudges away as we can have a look at the times then. So to confirm, it was fastest for Mercedes-AMG team Black Falcon, Maro Engel doing that time on his second lap at 2:18.588. Brilliant job done. Just a sneak ahead of Laurens Vanthoor, with his time being a 2:18.605. Davide Rigon third, ahead of Nick Tandy. Then Daniel Serra, excellent job that, somebody new to Blancpain, and he is fifth, ahead of Dries Vanthoor. Then it's Nico Muller for seventh, Mathieu Drudy eighth, Maxi Book ahead of Mathieu Jaminet 11th, Kevin Estre, who was the first one to go, of course. Then it was Dennis Olsen, Jake Dennis, and Maxime Martin only 14th, ahead of Gary Paffett. Then Klaus Bachler, Jamie Green, Andrew Watson, Dennis Lind, and Katsumasa Chiyo. Those last two, of course, given penalties for missing the pit exit slot. Maro Engel put everything on the line there, and he delivered.
I mean, I think what it tells me, apart from the ability, the superb drive by Maro Engel, is what we know of the Mercedes. It is probably the most gentle of all the brands in the pit lane on its tyres. And if any team or any driver pairing was going to do a better run on their second lap, it was going to be a Mercedes. But you know, the best prior Mercedes was down in 9th place, and that was Maximilian Buch. All of a sudden, Black Falcon have changed the landscape as far as Mercedes is concerned, and taken pole position away from what had been pretty much a mix of Ferrari and Porsche domination up until that last run.
It makes for an interesting grid. Mercedes, Porsche, Ferrari. Porsche, Ferrari, Audi, Audi, Audi. Mercedes, Porsche, Porsche, Porsche. Followed by Aston Martin, Aston Martin. Then Mercedes, Porsche, Audi, Aston Martin, Lamborghini, Nissan. That's the way the top 20 provisionally will line up. Lukas Stolz there to embrace his teammate.
All I can say is the burgers of Stuttgart are going to be, whoa, is it going to be a Porsche or is it going to be a Mercedes? Who's going to win? Well, there's a lot of other brands out there. I think they might win also on Sunday.
Indeed, so they're the Black Falcon drivers en masse, but Maro Engel is the man we want to hear from. Let's join Dakota.
Maro, congratulations. Was that close to your theoretical time, or did you pull that one out of the bag?
Definitely, that was everything there was and more. I knew it was super close after lap 1, and here the tire degradation is quite high, so lap 2 is always tough to get more, but yeah, lap 2 was really, really good, and I pushed super hard going into the last chicane, seeing I was up, and yeah, super happy it worked out. But now it's a long race, and the most important is to be P1 on Sunday afternoon.
You definitely disappointed Laurens Vanthoor. Jelmer, did you expect that? Were you biting your nails the whole time?
Oh, I mean, we were in front of the TV, look at me, and we couldn't believe it. Every time, every sector, it was like, no, go on. So really great job again by Maro, and we're extremely happy.
Luca, great job by Maro, but it's still a 24-hour race, isn't it?
Yeah, what a lap by Maro was really great. The middle sector was awesome. I didn't expect it to be going quicker on the second lap, but yeah, he managed so good, and we're really happy to be on P1. But now we focus on the race.
Congratulations, Guy. P1!
Maro Engel, Jelmer Berman, Lukas Stolz, the drivers of the Mercedes-AMG team. Black Falcon Mercedes, there it is, that will start on pole position with this outstanding colour scheme.
Certainly is different to the one we're familiar with. The graphics in the car illustrate that a lot of sponsorships come the way of Black Falcon for this event. And
Mercedes, like other brands, determined to win as we look back on Superpole. Nico Muller ending up 7th fastest. Nico for WRT. Dries Vanthoor, Belgian driver, Belgian team, Belgian circuit. 6th fastest, having had a real go, but not being able to deliver frustratingly. 5th fastest, Daniel Serra. Really good job in the Hub Auto Corsa Ferrari. New to European racing. This is a team that's been specialising in the Blancpain GT Series Asia over the last couple of years, and he's 5th on the grid. Nick Tandy taking 4th in the Rover Racing Porsche, with Davide Rigon's Ferrari just fractionally quicker. 16 thousandths the margin between this car and the Porsche. Second, again, Porsche Laurens Vanthoor. He missed out by 17 thousandths of a second. So Davide Rigon here will start on the second row of the grid. Laurens Vanthoor for the Timo Bernhardt Porsche squad. taking in the end second fastest time. Maro Engel then is the man for pole position, but a really good job done by Lawrence Vanthoor. Oh, so close, but Engel right at the last was able to come through and steal the top time. A 2 minutes 18.588 puts Maro Engel on pole position, and that is just the build-up to a great race that we have in store. The 71st Total 24 Hours of Spa begins at 4:30 tomorrow. We'll be on air half an hour before the start of the race. You do not want to miss it. For now, from John Watson and David Addison, we'll see you tomorrow. It's goodbye from Spa.